Ken Lane, API Evangelist here. This is part of my ongoing series where I dive into specific standards, doing research for clients and customers, and as part of stories and policies that I'm creating. So one of the things I do is research different standards, figure out how they fit into the overall policies and rules we're applying to governance and just working my way through some new ones coming off the assembly line here. I don't know anything about this, but looking forward to learn more. It's RFC 9651, structured field values for HTTP. So this is the first time I'm reading this. I don't know anything about it. I'm going to learn about it right alongside you. So let's start with the abstract. This document describes a set of data types and associated algorithms that are intended to make it easier and safer to define and handle HTTP header and trailer fields, known as structured fields, structured headers, or structured trailers. It is intended for use by specifications of new HTTP fields. All right, let's go down to section 1, introduction. Specifying the syntax of new HTTP header and trailer fields is an onerous task. Even with the guidance of section 16.3.2 of HTTP, there are many decisions and pitfalls for prospective HTTP field authors. Once a field is defined, bespoke parsers and serializers often need to be written because each field value has slightly different handling of what looks like a common syntax. This document introduces a set of common data structures for use in definitions of new HTTP field values to address those problems. In particular, it defines a generic abstract model for them, along with a concrete serialization for expressing that model in HTTP header and trailer fields. An HTTP field is defined as a structured header or structured trailer if the field can either be, it is structured field, uses the defined, that doesn't make any sense. Let's start that paragraph over. An HTTP field is defined as a structure header or structured trailer, uses the types defined in the specification to define its syntax and basic handling rules, thereby simplifying both its definition and by specification writers and handling by implementations. That was better. Additionally, future versions of HTTP can define alternative serializations of the abstract model of these structures, allowing fields that use model to be transmitted more efficiently without being redefined. Note that this is not the goal of this document to redefine the syntax of existing HTTP fields. The mechanisms described herein are intended to be used with fields that explicitly opt into them. So let's look at 1.1, intentionally strict processing. Specification intentionally defines strict parsing and serialization behaviors using step-by-step algorithms. The only error handling defined is to fail the entire operation altogether. It is designed to encourage faithful implementation and good interoperability. Therefore, an implementation that tried to be helpful by being more tolerant of the input would make interoperability worse, since this would create pressure on other implementations to implement similar but likely subtly different workarounds. In other words, strict processing is an intentional feature of this specification. It allows non-conformant input to be discovered incorrectly by the producer early and avoids both interoperability and security issues that might otherwise result. Note that as a result of this strictness, if a field is appended to by multiple parties An error in one party's value is likely to cause the entire field value to fail parsing. Interesting. We're going to skip over the notational conventions. I'll leave that to you to read. Let's move down to defining new structured fields. And then we'll probably end it there, but this looks interesting. To specify an HTTP field as a structured field, its authors need to normatively reference the specification. Recipients and generators of the field need to know that the requirements of this document are in effect. Identify whether the field is a structured header or structured trailer, only in the trailer section, or a structured field. Specify the type of field value, either list, dictionary, or item. Define the semantics of the field value. Interesting, they don't say how to do that. Specify an additional constraints upon the field value, as well as the consequences when those constraints are violated. Typically, this means that the field definition will specify the top level, list, dictionary, or item, and then define its allowable types and constraints upon them. For example, a header defined as a list might have all integer members or a mix of types. A header defined as an item might only allow strings, and additionally, only strings begin with the letter Q, or strings in lowercase. Likewise, inner lists are only valid when field definition explicitly allows them. Fields that use the display string type are advised to be carefully specify their allowable Unicode code points. For example, specifying the use of profile from presys. File definitions can only use this specification for the entire field value, not a portion thereof. Specifications can refer to field names as structure header name, structure trailer name, or structure field names as appropriate. Likewise, they can refer to list value, structure header value, structure trailer value, and structured field values. This specification defines minimums for the length or number of the various structures supported by implementations. It doesn't specify maximum size, but also should be aware that HTTP implementations do impose various limits on the size of individual fields and total number of fields, and or the size of the header or trailer section. So interesting. I would put myself in the category as not an expert in HTTP. I know enough to be dangerous, but I don't, like some of my counterparts, I don't follow it intimately and closely. I'm not a standards nerd, but I know the value, I know the importance, and I want to understand it. So I guess I don't understand the distinction between the header, the trailer, and the field name. So structure header, structured trailers, and structured fields. So I think I get the header part. The trailer and the structured fields are new. So I'm gonna need to see some more examples, dive in and understand this a little bit more to understand how it's gonna actually impact things. And then come up with probably some use cases. That's what I'm real big on with any of these standards, is to provide not just a definition how it works and talk about, actually give you examples that you can actually use and reverse engineer. And I'm going to publish those as part of the commons to help get the word out. So, anyways, hope that helps. I learned a little bit more, but obviously I got more learning to do and more understanding, and I can dive into that at a later date. Thanks for tuning in.